What's up, my comic comrades? First and foremost, yes, I'm wearing glasses. You guys are not used to it, but my eye's bothering me today and I didn't want to put contacts in. Anyway, if you're not aware, The Eternals will be one of the movies kicking off Phase 4 of the MCU. We even have Stranger Things star Millie Bobby Brown and Tomb Raider herself, Angelina Jolie, attached to be a part of the movie. And I'm sure later this week we'll get more news about the movie during Marvel's panel at San Diego Comic-Con. But the big question is, who the heck are the Eternals? Much like the Guardians of the Galaxy before they had a popular film franchise, not many people knew who they were and what they're all about. But fret not, friends, that's what Variant is here for, to put some more nerd knowledge in your brainicus. With that said, the Eternals first appeared in the Eternals issue 1 in July of 1976. They were created by the one and only Jack the King Kirby, the god himself of comic books. That's right, the Eternals were Kirby's baby. He was the sole creator of the characters, writing and illustrating their first volume of stories. And any true comic book fan knows that means this comic book series is gold. I mean, it's from the king. But getting into their origin and who they are, the quick answer would be the Eternals are pretty much an evolutionary offshoot of the human race who live on Earth and possess superpowers. They also have an eternal lifespan, hence the name Eternals. They first came into existence millions upon millions of years ago, when the Celestials, an ancient race of cosmic gods, were like, we're gonna go to Earth and perform genetic experiments on the life forms there because they're weaker than us, so why the heck not? Speaking of, we definitely have to do an episode on the Celestials pretty soon, because not only did they already appear in the MCU during Guardians of the Galaxy and they looked ripped right out of the comics, they're also literally responsible for mankind's potential to gain superhuman powers in the Marvel Universe. They're also responsible for creating multiple other races and life forms in said universe, like the Skrulls for instance. What I'm saying is, they're kind of super important to Marvel. Anyway, on to how the Celestials created the Eternals. As the Eternals issue 1 states, it all began with the coming of the gods to Earth, when it was populated only by the beasts of the field. Still, it was the presence of life which drew these cosmic beings to this planet. The comic goes on to say, it was then that they proceeded with their mission. They chose to change the destiny of a life form new to the evolutionary chain, the ape. So those dang bullies, the Celestials, trapped a specimen and took it alive to experiment on. And this next part is crucial as it's literally the beginning of the human race for the Marvel Universe. Once they began experimenting on the ape, the comic says, only the instruments of the gods could do what was done in that momentous time. The ape was given the cosmic chemistry that would father the races to come. And boom, because of this, the evolutionary process was changed and the Dawn ape became the common ancestor to 3 powerful new species. First, we have the Deviants, an ever-changing and destructive failure which is structurally unstable. Each new generation of the Deviants appear in new and monstrous ways. They're also all about constant war. Then we have the humans. Since we're all human, we clearly know what that's about, but I'm gonna give you Marvel's breakdown anyway. The human is a species bred with true balance and structure and disposition. Although he was a destroyer, the human was capable of building for peace. His kind was destined to inherit the Earth, he belonged to it. And then of course we have the Eternals, the reason for this episode. The Eternal was more of a child of the gods than of the Earth, as he reached for the universe. The Eternals bred few in number and were immune to time and death. Like the gods, they lived apart from all other living beings. Now that gives us how the Eternals were created, as well as the Deviants and humans. But now you might be saying, we know the humans took over the majority of the Earth, but where do the Eternals come in? Well, the Eternals took to the highest mountaintops. They probed the universe with their minds and soon developed superpowers which surpassed those of all other life on Earth. Because of this, they were regarded with awe and fear. As for those curious about the Deviants, they took to the Earth's inner depths, where they were constantly figuring out how to create new weapons. In fact, several of Earth's terrifying myths were inspired by clashes with the Deviants. And that, my friends, is how the Eternals came to be, but you also get a bonus backstory of how the Deviants and humans came to be in the Marvel Universe. Another fun fact, for those of you who didn't know, Thanos is actually part of the Deviant race, meaning the Eternals movie will probably have Thanos in it, or at least reference him. As for some prominent members of the Eternals, some would include Arris, Cersei, Ajax, Domo, and Makari. Now obviously there's a lot more I could say about the Eternals, but we're gonna save that when we give them a history of episode when we get closer to the movie, as we're not exactly sure what Marvel's gonna do with them in the MCU, so we might even do like single character episodes on Arris and Cersei and whatnot. But we at least wanted to give you guys a head start on their origin and creation, as again, there's likely gonna be a lot of reveals and discussion about the characters and their upcoming movie at the Marvel Hall H panel this coming Saturday. But before I wrap this up, I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit about their powers and abilities, because why not? The Eternals' cells contain cosmic energy which they can blast through their eyes and hands. They're also able to maintain constant mental control over every molecule in their body, which is impressive because that means they're literally in control of every aspect of their being down to their own molecules. Like their name implies, they are virtually immortal. They could be restored back to life even if their molecules in their bodies were scattered across the earth. So you know, they're just a little bit more advanced than us humans. All of the Eternals also possess the abilities of super strength, flight, telepathy, illusion casting, teleportation, and transmutation of organic and inorganic matter. Not to mention they can create force fields and have accelerated healing. They're quite literally the human representation of a god. And lastly, we're going to leave you with some reading recommendations. So check out the Eternals Volumes 1 and 2 by the great Jack Kirby, Eternals to Slay a God, Eternals Manifest Destiny, and Eternals by Neil Gaiman. That should be enough to get you all started. That does it for today's episode, my comic comrades, but if you're looking for some more variant content similar to this episode, we recommend you give Our Origin of Talos a watch. And if you like what we do, why don't you give us a subscribe by clicking that button right there. Either way, we'll see you all next time when we talk about all things comics.